Well, it's Thursday, and everybody knows what that means. That means once again we have MLW Fusion. This time we're getting some interesting storylines. As you know, the World Titan Federation are determined to take over MLW to overthrow who they considered the wannabes, the Bomaye Fight Club. And we got other interesting matches also taking place. And then, of course, we move on with Impact Wrestling. However, Impact Wrestling decided to go back in time with their IPWF Throwback Throwdown. If you're unfamiliarized with that, this is where, of course, everybody turns into a character from back in the 80s in the Canadian promotion known as the Impact Provisional Wrestling Federation. I think this is a lot of fun that everybody should enjoy. Then we move on with Ring of Honor. We do have a Proving Ground match where Lee Johnson faces Eddie Kingston. Hopefully, if he gets a world title shot, which everybody wants to enjoy. And we have other several matches taking place in a very interesting turn of events involving Billy Starks and Athena. But first things first, we're gonna review, of course, Stardom with their much recent one that took place on the 28th of this month, which is, of course, Korakuen Hall. As you know, we're looking for the Right to Challenge tournament, a one-day tournament to determine who will face either Suzuki, or Azuki at Dream Kingdom on the 29th of December. And we have other several matches taking place as well. And also, we cap things up with our news updates where we talk about, of course, GCW's upcoming event for 2024 in Tampa. And then, of course, a very interesting news report reporting about Will Ospreay getting a massive offer from a promotion that it's not even both WWE or AEW. And then finally, Tam Nakano breaks silence since we haven't heard from her in October, ever since she got herself injured. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of daily reviews from various wrestling promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big and it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos involving, of course, the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we get our hands on. We also do more news updates by itself if we're unable to put it on this episode and other cool stuff. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click to the subscribe button and you'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and cool stuff on this channel. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment down below. Now, let's get started with our very first review. This is Stardom. They were in Korakuen Hall for the 28th of November show. Now, as you know, we have two vacancies that took place. The Goddesses of Stardom, the tag titles. Well, as you know, Micah and Megan Bain say because they won the title, they won the tag league by default. They won, but however, it still says it's still vacant, so they're not the tag champions, as they say. But things will change from here on out. And also, we got the red belt. So a lot of things are going to take place before then. But right now, let's focus on this particular day. Our first match, we have the new girl, Yuzuki, taking on, of course, the current Future of Stardom champion, Rina. Now, as you know, Rina has proven time why she is the main character of the younger wrestlers in the promotion, and she always demonstrated. But I have to say, Yuzuki has really shown me that she does want to show that she belongs to be there at all. But unfortunately, it did not happen because she ended up being with the diving double knee drop onto her. And of course, Rina is mocking her, telling her she'll never win this belt. But one way or the other, Rina could lose the belt, but to whom? But we'll get to that at some other point. Our next match, we have Fukigen Death taking on Hina. So this is going to be an interesting match. Now, keep in mind, Fukigen Death is a lot more different than any other wrestler. However, Hina is a judo expert that you probably know she can pull off certain leg sweeps and all that, but this time it did not work in her favor. Fukigen Death applied the O'Connor roll that put her away once and for all with the win. Next up, we have an interesting three-way match: Hanako versus Miyu Amasaki versus Sayuri Onoi. So it was a pretty good three-way match, of course, but the factors you look at: Hanako, who is in fact a tall girl but has less experience. Amasaki, who of course has been with the promotion for almost a year and a half or so, has been more experienced than Hanako. But you look at Sayuri Onoi, who has more experience than either or of them. So that sets it up right there. So in retrospect, it was the Hurricanrana by Sayuri Onoi that put away Hanako to give her the win. Next up, we have a 6-women tag team match. We have Oedo Tai, consistent of Ruka, Starlight Kid, and Natsuko Tora, taking on Stars, consistent of Sayaida, Hanan, and Azuki. Now, of course, none of these matches have any storytelling or anything, but it was just a straight up match. But of course, there'll be some dirty plays from Oedo Tai as always. But unfortunately, it was Natsuko Tora with the Death Valley bomb onto Ida that gave the Oedo Tai the win. Now let's begin with our very first two matches involving the right to challenge. Now let me give you guys an explanation. Whoever wins this match will face either Azuki or Suzuki on December 29th. Now our first match features Momo Watanabe and Mina Shirakawa. Now these two ladies have been in each other's throats before. Now if you guys remember, their first encounter was back in 2022 at the 5-Star Grand Prix. When Mina was making the decision that she was chasing the white belt, she knew that how much Momo is one of those people that it determines to, that will put her in the conversation saying, yes, I beat her, who was a white belt champion too. It did. And then, of course, they ran into each other again during this year's 5-Star Grand Prix, and Mina won. However, we know these two women are desired to win the red belt, which is obvious. But the obvious question is who's going to be. However, Mina, who's desired to win red belt, well, it came up short because apparently, thanks to Oedo Tai with getting involved after ref was knocked out using the bat and other things. But it was, of course, Momo Watanabe with the Peach Sunrise that allowed her to win. As for Mina, she was very disappointed. She mentioned in the comments like she felt that everything she hoped for is like really frustrating. She did not anticipate that Tam would give up the belt, but of course Tam has her reasons why. It's not her fault for relinquish the belt. It was a decision that had to be made. Now our next match, well, these two ladies, they have been in each other's throats for the past couple of days when this was announced. We're talking to Ami Sori and Maika. Now keep in mind, Maika had desired for this belt before too, and she's always been on the losing end to that. However, don't forget, it was Maika who ended up being runner-up during the 5-Star Grand Prix, losing to Zuzu. But now she feels that she gets another opportunity of a belt that she has long desired. But she has to get to Ami Sori first, which she did when she applied the Miyochuku driver. And now she has to face Momo Watanabe. Now keep in mind, I did mention these two women are desiring for the red belt no matter what. Now our next match, we got a pair of wrestlers who are gaijins, or should I say foreign wrestlers in a Stardom ring. We have Scandinavian Hurricane taking on the Toxic Spider, Tekla. Now, of course, this was going to be a big match. I mean, this match went crazy beyond anything because the way I see it, Tekla is now trying to prove that she is the top foreign wrestler in Stardom since B. Priestley left. So basically, she's not going to tolerate someone like Scandinavian Hurricane they stole her thunder. But unfortunately, this match ended in a time limit draw. Well, no, not a time limit draw. Sorry, my notes are messed up. Yes, a double countout after 8 minutes and 19 seconds. But of course, now we're seeing that two foreign wrestlers are going to determine who is the top foreign in Stardom. Of course, Tekla has always proven that she's the top, but with Scandinavian Hurricane being there, she's a major threat to her. Now moving on, we have God's Eye, consistent of Suri and Mirai taking on DDM's Mai Sakurai and Julia. Of course, Suri and Julia do have a bit of their history being tag team partners, but not to mention Suri leaving DDM due to the obnoxious behavior and being underrated by Julia since she was with DDM, formed God's Eye. But of course, there's Mirai and Mai Sakurai, who have been close when Mirai was also part of DDM, now opposite sides. But during the end of the tag festival that they had, the Dream Tag Festival that they had recently, Mai Sakurai actually mentioned that now her sole desire is to gain the white belt. However, this match kind of proved it how much Mai Sakurai wants it. But however, she is no match with the resiliency and strength of Mirai when she applied lariat 1, 2, 3. So in a way, Mai Sakurai has to think obviously that even though she has been grown so much, she's still no match for Mirai, and eventually she continues to lose to her either in tag team or in singles competition. Next up, we have Megan Bayne, Zu Suzuki, and Mai Shirai teaming up once again after a brief while. They take on the full force of Queen's Quest. We're talking of Azumi, the return of Saya Kamitani, and Utami Ayashida. It's been a while since we've seen these three together. And you know you can feel the energy with those three back. And of course, Saya Kamitani is back better than it was before. This match was insane. You probably would have imagined that Queen's Quest would have had the biggest win. However, that case was not true. It ended with a time limit draw after 15 minutes. However, it appears that Kamitani Utami Ashida has something in mind. Apparently, they're calling out the winners of Tag League, of course, Megan Bayne and Micah, that they will be challenging them for these belts on the 2nd of December. So basically, we're gonna see that. And of course, Megan Bayne is not gonna let a couple of people like them to steal her thunder. So we'll get to that at some point. Now, our main event is the Right to Challenge final. We have Momo Watanabe and Micah. Now, last time these two ever faced together in singles competition was back in 5-Star Grand Prix. Momo defeated her, mocking her, saying that she doesn't even deserve the red belt, which, of course, that's always been the case. But nothing stopped Micah one way or the other, because she did beat her with the Michinoku Driver 2, giving her the opportunity. However, she still has some unfinished business with Zu Suzuki, because she will be facing her. Well, she's hoping that she doesn't lose on December 2nd against Azuki. But Zuzu reminded her that she was the one who beat her at the 5-Star Grand Prix. And I'm like, that is true. But there is one thing that kind of gets me off, that I kind of was thinking about this for a while now. Now, this is something before we get it, if that day happens between Azuki and Micah. Who is Julia going to support? I mean, we know she has a history with both these ladies. I mean, she always views Zuzu as a little sister, and Micah, who's always been her right hand. This is going to be tough for her, but I wouldn't be surprised if Micah loses to Zuzu on the 29th and decides to leave DDM because Julia supports Zuzu. That's the thing that's going to come into play to me. I don't know what you guys think, but Micah is confident to believe that she will walk out as both titles, with the tag titles and the red belt. And now she's aiming also for the IWGP title. But I hardly believe that she can obtain all 3 of them. But we'll see what happens until then. But right now, let's move on to our next review, and I believe that is MLW. Okay, MLW Fusion 193. Now, it started up with a thumbtack, a pit of death match. Now, this is the idea of what this match is all about. You have to throw your opponent through a vial of thumbtacks on the table. Now, you cannot put their head or hand or whatever into this. And the match consisted of Cannonball from the Calling taking on You're Messing with a Different Boy, Jimmy Lloyd. Now, as I said before, you have to put their entire body in this thumbtacks. Will be a nightmare for anybody. But one thing that was crazy enough, it only took quite a while for a couple of head traumas for Cannonball to fall into this pit of thumbtacks, allowing for Jimmy Lloyd to win. So that's a good win for him. Now, apparently recently, as you know, Tony Deppen was suspended for what he did, all this and that. Apparently he is returning. Yeah, the biggest a-hole on the planet is coming back in 2 weeks' time to take on Nolo Kitano. Now, if you guys remember what happened, Nolo Kitano take on TJ Crawford. A masked guy showed up believing to be Tony Deppen, and of course, Griffin McCoy showed up out of the blue. So we'll see what happens in 2 weeks' time from there. Now, as you know, Manders sent a direct message to, of course, his buddy Mance Warner how things are now changed. However, he received a surprise visit from some interesting character. He calls himself, of course, Mask Number 3, who, of course, it's in fact Mance Warner. So yes, so this guy seems like he's getting along with Manders, and things might have changed. So we'll see what happens. I think this is kind of funny how this turned out. Now, our next match, we have a bit of a three-way tag team match. First up, we have the main event, Midas Black and Jay Lyons versus Austin Luke and Lucky 13 versus, of course, the debut of Wasted Youth, Dylan McKay and Marcus Mathers. I have to say this was one of the most, not the biggest pop, a very good pop for Wasted Youth for many reasons, because I have seen what incredible tag team these guys are. Watching them in other promotions in GCW, JCW, and other places. But man, they picked up a fantastic win when Matters applied a 450 onto Austin Luke, giving them a win. But however, they often said that they've been looking for a nice, good home for people to enjoy them, and it seems they finally found it, and that is, of course, in MLW. So they could be in the conversation in the near future for tag team titles. So we could see that coming on the way. Now, the World Titan Federation set out a video. As you know, it appears they're not done with recruiting more people. As you know, they are determined to take over MLW, but it's later revealed during a little news break that of course, Mr. St. Laurent was able to weasel his way over the contract for Alexander Hammerstone. So that is the reason what happened. Now, during a video promo with Rocky Romero, he actually sent out a message to Mascara that he's nothing but a punk, that he's not going to walk out with the MLW World Middleweight title. We just will wait and see until that happens. Our next match, we have Zeta Steel versus Gia Scott. Now, we have seen Zeta Steel before once. It's kind of interesting how now she is showing a bit of a new look and a different attitude. However, this match ended with, of course, Zeta Steel pinning Scott, using the ropes as leverage in order to walk away with the win. However, the commentator was determined to have a little chat with her to find out what was going on with her. But unfortunately, it appears that her performance caught the attention of that fatso, Mr. Saint Laurent, and it appears that he decided that he wants to sign her. Excuse me, my other cat is here. So we're going to be seeing, apparently, she accepted the offer. Now, Alex Kane, who's been frustrated with the World Time Federation, making their way to, of course, causing problems for the Bomaye Fight Club, saying that they're nothing but a bunch of wannabe wrestlers, that they will be sent to Suplex Island and all this other stuff. As you know, I mentioned this before. There is a war between both, of course, Bomaye Fight Club and the World Time Federation. So we're gonna see who in fact runs the promotion. Now, Tom Lawler, as you know, will be in a match against the first ever, MLW World Heavyweight title, and that is, of course, Satoshi Kojima. Now, Lawler had some words saying that people often say he is the best of all time, but Lawler believes now that's a load of horse crap for him. So he's going to prove it to him on that day. Now, our main event, we have the World Time Federation consistent of Tom Lawler, Josh Bishop, and Alex Hammerstone taking on the Bomaye Fight Club, Mr. Thomas, Jay Bujin, and O'Shea Edwards. Now, you know that this type of match, we're going to see a lot of interesting moments where there'll be some cheatings from both sides. However, things got out of hand when, of course, a low blow took place. And then later, the Nightmare Pendulum was applied by Alex Hammerstone onto, was it Bojin? Yeah, Bojin. And then pinned by, of course, by Lawler. And then a brawl broke down between both groups, trying to determine. Alex Kane tried to help, but that seeming little weasel, the so-called Deathmatch King, showed up to attack Kane. And then, of course, security tried to break both sides up. It did not, but it gave time for the Bomaye Fight Club to recover the fight back even better. So we will see which faction will take over. So that's going to be very interesting. So we only got until the next week, until One Shot. I think that's pretty much it with MLW. Let's move on with Impact Wrestling. Okay, Impact Wrestling with Throwback Throwdown. If you're unfamiliarized with this show, every year Impact Wrestling does this thing where, of course, segments where they go back to the 80s during the territorial times in Canada. And the promotion is called Impact Provisional Wrestling Federation. Now, each character is played by wrestlers within the Impact roster. Of course, there were some wrestlers that are no longer there, but they actually mentioned their names. The Scott D'Amore plays the promoter called Giuseppe Scovidelli or something like that. He's Giuseppe Senior, but Josh Matthews, who's the ring announcer, calls himself Giuseppe Junior. So basically, he's like that. And there's many wrestlers involved. And this is who we have this is how the whole show starts. It opened up with a wrestler named Kamikaze taking on Rapid Pete Delivery, portrayed by, of course, Rich Swann. Now, this is the third time I've seen him play this character. I thought it was really fun because Rapid Pete Delivery is the pizza boy. So basically, everybody loves pizza, including this guy right here. So it was a fun match. Of course, there was a moment to see Kamikaze doing this. I don't know who played Kamikaze, so don't ask me that question. So, but the match ended, of course, as I thought, with Rapid Delivery Pete winning by applying a splash on him, and 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, during an interview with a guy named George the Iceman, he interviews DJ Too Large, portrayed by Moose, who is the top champion of the IPWF International Commonwealth Television Champion. Of course, the story goes is that since he won, there's been talk about his involvement with the $361 man. Think of him as the reject brother of the $1 Million Man. So, you know how the $1 Million Man says, name your price? Well, this guy says, name your dollar. So, yes, you can call him a reject. So, however, he's been demanding for what is the dollar price for Too Large to hand over the belt and give it to him. So he said, I don't care how much money you have. I'm not doing it. So he said he will take it from him by having his latest client, which is, of course, named Mass Brother. Now, I did not know who this guy was from the very beginning. It was revealed to be none other than Frankie Kazarian portraying this guy, which is kind of interesting. So they will have their match later on in that particular show. Now, a guy named uh, David Penzi, who I think he plays one of the ring announcer, portrays by a guy named Walter Chestnut. Last year, he was in a battle between two different promotions, between his promotion versus the IPWF. He now is determined to gain everything that he thought he lost back. So he has a guy named Neptune, portrayed by Shera, that he will actually try to win back what he rightfully lost. So his opponent is, of course, Giuseppe Sr., with his guy, Frank the Butcher, portraying by Rhino. So I thought that was a very interesting thing. Now, our interview with, of course, with the Iceman, we have Red Letter, played by Jody Threat. Apparently, of course, she had a very interesting match prior to that against, forgot who it was, of course, portrayed by Jessica. She said she's calling herself Rapid Delivery Red Letter. Apparently, Rapid Delivery Pete had no clue who he was, but he's saying that she had no right to have this name. So basically, who the hell is this guy? So it became like that. So I thought it was just too darn funny. Now, we do see Neptune taking on Frank the Butcher. Of course, it was going to be a very interesting match, a very hard hitting match, but it was Frank the Butcher who picked up the win when he applied a clothesline. 1, 2, 3. However, Giuseppe Sr. had something in mind for Chestnut and Neptune, so now they have to mop the floors of the IPW wherever they go. So basically, he's got a mop. Next up, we have a very interesting tag match. We have the Sunday Morning Express, kind of like newspaper group, consistent of the Paperboy, portrayed by Jack Price, and the editor-chief, Chris Sabian. So basically, they face against the working men, portrayed by Diener, who calls himself Otis Oates, and then there's, of course, Jake something as Harry Hall. So basically, that was a pretty good match. But however, the Paperboy used some sort of weapon onto Hall to pick up the win, thanks to the editor chief. When he pinned him, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now, we do see a little segment with Rip Razor, portrayed by Ace Austin, and of course, Rusty Iron, portrayed by his real life girlfriend and interviewer Gia Miller, getting involved with Dreamer, saying that he's never going to go anywhere. So, but there was a segment after where Dreamer was in the men's locker room. Apparently, Red Letter told him that, of course, the bag of Rip Razor was there, but apparently it wasn't his. It belonged to, forgot the character that Myers plays, but it turns out there was crap in there, Phil. And of course, Myers threw the whole thing up. And of course, Chestnut's first assignment, clean the whole thing up. So I thought that was really funny. Now, Razor and Rusty Iron ended up in the match against Colt McCoy, portrayed by Eddie Edwards, and Georgia Cobb, portrayed by Jordan Grace. So you probably think this is going to be a fun mixed tag match. Well, it did, because it was, of course, Cobb that pinned Irons. 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now, we do see the IPWF Intercontinental the International Commonwealth Television title on the line. Mass Brother versus DJ Too Large. There was some things that took place during the match. I don't know what the hell was Chestnut doing. I don't know if he was paid or he deliberately got involved. Then, of course, a couple of henchmen showed up, trying to make sure that Mass Brother wins. But the Mass Brother did something with a weapon, and no one saw it. And then there was a pinfall, giving, of course, Mass Brother the win, taking the belt. So he stole this one. So my thing is, I think Chestnut had something to do with it. Now, our next match, this is a very interesting one. This is the Fall Tall Tournament. Russia versus versus Canada. Timber, portrayed by Josh Alexander, taking against Boris Alevsky, portrayed by Santino Marella. So there were some moments like, okay, so who's going to win, Canada or Russia? Well, apparently there was a very good match. So Timber, who was the fan favorite, won this match, defeating Boris 1, 2, 3, and the entire locker room showed up. So I thought this is a very fun show. So if you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. So I think that's pretty much it with the Impact stuff. I believe it's time for our last review, Ring of Honor. Okay, our last review, Ring of Honor. It opened up with a meme meeting. Now, as you know, Athena is a very, very disappointed person. She cannot understand how is it that Billy Starks is good in singles competition but bad in tag team. Now, if you guys remember last week, she and Athena lost to Ronda Rousey and Marina Shafir, but she's giving her another opportunity to make up for what happened last week. So Billy Starks has to face Marina Shafir. So that is going to be a little later. Now, our next match is a proving ground match for the ROH world title. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, don't understand what the word proving ground, let me explain it. You only have if you are able to withstand the time limit with the champion, you could get an automatic opportunity for the world title. And it's going to be Lee Johnson versus Eddie Kingston. Now, in every back to the mind, we possibly think that Shane Taylor, who's been trying to persuade him to side with him, would want him to win this match. But I have to say, Lee Johnson really did put up a hell of a fight against Kingston. I mean, Kingston is always up for the challenge, but also impressed by those that could actually take him out. But unfortunately, the back fist was the real deal breaker on this particular match, allowing for Eddie Kingston to win. So it's a huge disappointing loss for Kingston, but he got the respect from for Johnson, but Kingston got actually gave him the respect that he earned. Next up, we have tag team action. We got the Infantry, Carly Bravo and the Captain Sean Dean taking on the boys, Brent and Brandon. Now, I don't know what to make of this match, but it seems like it was a little fun. But there was a great moment where Brent had to do things on his own. His brother Brandon was completely out of energy. So basically, you can tell when it comes to tag team, you have to rely on your tag partner to be there when you're ready to roll. However, that case did not go in. It was the Infantry with the boot camp on Brent that picked up the win. Sorry. Now, we do see an interview with Lexi Near talking to Rachel Ellering to provide an update about what happened to Layla Hirsch. Now, Maria decided to show up to try to save face. However, there is the obvious question that many ask. What was the dealing between both Maria and the Renegades? We don't know that. Did we think that this was a way to hurt her? We don't know. So basically, Rachel Ellering has that suspicious feeling, but we just don't know yet as we go along. But we will find out. But however, Layla Hirsch will have her match, and she will be there. And she's hoping that Maria will be there. But Rachel, she says she will be there too. I think deep down, Rachel doesn't trust Maria for all the things. Hey. Sorry, guys. This is my brother's dog. Sit. Okay, bye-bye. So anyway, so we'll see about that. Our next match, we have Emi Sakura versus Trish Adora. Now, we know Trish Adora has been training at the New Japan, at the Ella Dojo. I don't know how much she has learned, but Emi Sakura, you know she's a veteran. She's been there, done that, and all this other stuff. But she was able to defeat Trish Adora with the butterfly backbreaker, giving her a good win. Our next match, we have Layla Hirsch versus Heather Reckless. Now, of course, Maria was there. So is Rachel Ellering. But I think deep down, Rachel believes something is off here. But of course, Layla Hirsch won with the armbar. But I think maybe Layla Hirsch is having some thoughts about Maria. I don't know. So we'll see about that. Next match, we have Willie Mack versus Robert Anthony. I haven't seen Robert Anthony for quite some time, but it's great to see him. But Willie Mack, he is many of those people that could say he should be signed somewhere. And I think the commentator says that he's compatible for world title or television title. Hell, maybe pure wrestling title. That is one thing that could be that. So I don't know. But uh, thing is, Willie Mack won by applying the sitting down power bomb. 1, 2, 3. It was over right from there. Now, now our next match we do have is Marina Shafir versus Billy Starks. Now, of course, Billy Starks had to throw in a bit of the aggressiveness towards Marina, but Marina applied submissions to try to break her. So nothing worked until it took multiple times for Billy to apply the Swanton Bomb, but it didn't work either way. So she tried another move, which is called the Star 10, allowing her to pick up the win. But during the post match, Athena showed up because it was graduation time. Apparently, Lexi graduated from the MIT, but not Billy Starks. So Billy was so pissed about that, even Athena was laughing, and Billy Starks beat her up for it. Now, later on, we did see Lexi be interview, of course, Tony Khan about that. So Tony Khan was giving updates for the upcoming last pay-per-view for Ring of Honor, and of course, Billy Stark shows up. So she feels like it's unfair about how things have been going for her. So Tony Stark said, well, you are undefeated in singles competition. You have a 9-0 record. So automatically, you get a title shot. So basically, he's telling her that she'll face Athena at Final Battle for the Ring of Honor women's title. So that's going to be interesting to see. Now, as you know, the world television title is been vacant. Samoa Joe vacated because he wants to proceed for the AEW world title. So our first match we have Evil Uno versus Dalton Castle. So there was a lot of good, a bit of frustrations with. Here's the thing, the boys, they know they cannot put their hands on the opposing wrestler against Dalton Castle, but Evil Uno has been irritated with their presence. So basically, their presence distracted him. So basically, it allowed him to lose focus. But it did give for Dalton Castle to apply the Bangarang. 1, 2, 3, it's done. So he proceeds on. Next match, we have Brandon Cutler and Cole Cabana taking on Trevor Outlaw and GPA. Well, I can tell you, this match ended with Cutler and Cole Cabana winning when they applied a very interesting move, but Cabana was the one that picked up the win onto Trevor Outlaw. So it's interesting to see Cabana and Cutler win this match. Now our next one is another survival of the fittest match for the world television title. We have Gringo Loco versus Commander. You know there's going to be a lot of high spots in this particular match, a lot of high flying, however you want it good. But however, it was Commander as always. As you know, Commander is always coming on top with the running shooting star press onto him, and boom, just like that. Now, we do see a very interesting interview with Lexi talking with Smart Mark Sterling. Now, as you know, Ethan Page, in the other hand, has been irritated with Sterling getting involved in his matches when it comes to Nice. So he tried to plead with Jerry Lynn about this. So there was a lot of back and forth. So Jerry Lynn says, yes, you will be there, Sterling, but you're going to be handcuffed. So basically, Ethan Page like we saw. But, of course, Sterling thinks it's a load of horse crap, but it is what it is. Jerry Lynn make the final call. Our next match, we have LFI, Preston Vance, and Dralistico taking on the Spanish announcing Serpentico and Angelico. Now, you know that Angelico will put one of them in a submission, but it did not work entirely. But in this match, it was Preston Vance with a big lariat onto Serpentico, giving LFI the good win. Next match, we have Nyla Rose versus Zoe Lynn. Well, I can skip ahead. Nyla Rose won by using the Beast Bomb, which is simpler. Next up, we have the Iron Savages, Boulder and Rosen taking on the Butcher and the Blade. So there was a lot of good moments on this one, but however, the ending of this match ended with, of course, a low blow onto Boulder by by the Blade, and then later a pickup win by the Butcher, just like that. So basically, it ended with Butcher and Blade getting their win. Our main event, we have Brian Cage versus Action Andretti. I thought it was a pretty good match. Action Andretti seems like he had everything under control, but unfortunately, that sneaking little weasel Nana got involved, distracting Andretti. But apparently, he came up short because of distraction, and Brian Cage applied a gory flatliner just like that. Or I don't know what he calls it. I think he was called it a swolvering. I don't know. But yes, so Brian Cage picked up the win. I think that's pretty much it for our Ring of Honor. So I think that's pretty much it for all our reviews. Let's move on with some news updates. Okay, welcome to our news update. So this is what we have for everyone. GCW has announced that they'll be making the return for 2024 in Tampa Bay. They have 2 shows back to back. So the first one is on the 26th of January of 2024, and this one is called Look at Me. And then, of course, on the 27th, this one is for the Effie's Big Gay Brunch. Now, they haven't announced too much who's going to be involved. However, it was later announced that Andrade El Idolo will be involved in the Look at Me show. So I kind of figured that was going to be for that one. Now, as you know, the biggest buzz was Will Ospreay signing with AEW, despite that his contract with New Japan is almost up, even though New Japan gave him his blessing. Their blessing for him to go with AEW. Now, as you know, AEW wasn't the only promotion that was, of course, had their eyes set on Will Ospreay, so was WWE. But it turns out that there was a massive offer that was laid out for Will Ospreay, and that wasn't from WWE. That was from Impact Wrestling that was becoming to TNA. Now, this would have been a huge thing. Now, Booker T did mention this during a podcast that if someone had like CM Punk would have been the guy that elevates TNA. Someone said the same thing about Will Ospreay, that he could have been that guy too to elevate TNA, but yet he chose WWE. So this was a offer that was offered to him before his signing with AEW. But of course, Will Ospreay says he made the right decision, not only for himself, but for his wife, his family, and everybody else. So who knows what the offer would have been for Will Ospreay with WWE? But hopefully, we'll get the answer to that. Give me a minute. All right, now it's been a while since we heard from her. Tam Nakano, as you all know, recently Tam relinquished the red belt due to the knee injury she obtained last October after defeating Natsuko Tora. The entire time during social media, she's been radio silent. No one has heard from her, but thankfully she finally responded, and this is what she had to say. Let me pull it up for everybody here. It is alive. I apologize to all the fans who were looking forward to the match for worrying you so much. I feel so defeated because I couldn't make it to the scheduled defense in time and fulfill my responsibility as champion. We apologize to the inconvenience caused to Zuzu and who was scheduled to fight for the belt. Little by little, my feelings are looking forward. Please give me a little more time. So basically, Tam Nakano feels bad that she felt like she lost, defeated for everything that she's been through. But of course, we don't know when she'll be back. But recently, I did mention that there's been recent talks about how long can Tam Nakano go as a wrestler, because as you know, the reason she became Red Belt champion was because Rossy Ogawa was the one who made it happen due to her age, because she was still in her top level. So the obvious question is she still going to be in her top level? Well, we'll see about that. And I think that's pretty much it what we have for our news updates. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, just found out just recently that we do have more of World Tag League. So I think we're going to be focusing on the A block, I believe. So we'll see what happens. We also have AEW Rampage and NXT Level Up. So we will see what happens. I mean, last week was kind of interesting. There was that NXT Level Up only had like some old matches. Rampage was until Saturday because of the whole, I don't know what. But yes, I'm glad it's back on its normal setting. I haven't decided yet what if I'm gonna do any other reviews before then, but we'll just wait and see what happens until then. But for now, I'll just leave things how it is, and I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, mwah, and have a nice day. Bang.